All right, you are listening to Geek Vice. Geek Vice, whose height is a combined 12 feet 2 inches. And you can't teach that.
That was awesome. Welcome everybody to Geek Vice, proving any vice with enough geek in it can become a virtue. My name's Morph. That man's Kip.
He forgot
Good
his name.
evening, Kip.
Good evening. I was watching wrestling, could you tell?
You know, when you sent me the text earlier asking me what my height was, I really wasn't sure where this was going. So I am glad to see it now. And just so everybody knows, I don't know what he's doing for the Open until he does it. That's why I start laughing.
That's
So
okay, because I don't know what I'm doing until the open most of the time. That's why they're terrible.
that is that is false. I think they are great. I want to throw out there for anyone listening to this, if you are not listening to us live and you want to listen to us live, you should go on Monday nights. Follow us on Facebook, first of all, facebook.com/geekvice. Follow us there. Also, subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you subscribe to our YouTube channel at tiny.cc/geekvice, that's the easiest way to get there. You can also go to YouTube and search for Kip Morph. That's the don't search. If you search for Geek Vice, know that we are not the ones that are in Spanish.
Yeah, because my Spanish is terrible.
Yeah, there's a Geek Vice in Latin America that on YouTube. So beware of that. But if you subscribe to our YouTube channel and in the settings get notifications, you will get notified whenever we go live. So you can come watch us live. If you are watching us live now, hello, peoples.
If you're watching us not live, sorry you died.
That would be bad.
That's very bad.
So, yeah, had a big week this last week, but
I'm glad you finished that sentence.
And for the record, Kip is drinking whiskey right now, so we are in for a fun-filled episode.
I just started, though, so effects have not taken place.
Yeah, sure, whatever. So this last week, we had all kinds of stuff going on. I finally got caught up on a few of my shows that I've been trying to watch. I got my I've started getting my Plex server all up and running, which is awesome. Plus, ordered a new board game that's coming to the house. So everybody else is going to Gen Con, and I'm just going to have my stuff shipped right to me. So I didn't even realize it happened. This is the best part. My wife ordered this game. We ordered Oregon Trail board game, which if you follow us on Facebook, you would have seen us posted on there. Yeah, it came out yesterday, I believe, is when the board game was released, and it should be at our house this week. So next week I'll show off the Oregon Trail, and maybe even hopefully by then I'll have played a round of it, see how it works out. How about you, Kip? Are you going to get Oregon Trail, the board game?
You know, it sounds like a lot of fun, and I probably will. I mean, just so I can say stuff like, you've died of dysentery. It just doesn't get any better than that.
I really just want to see if the game actually, like, is it easier in the board game? Because I honestly felt like the computer game just, like, you didn't have a chance. Like, it was just purposely going to make you lose every time. I never beat the game. I never actually made it down the Oregon Trail.
I don't know if you're actually supposed to win. I think it's just set up so you lose.
That's what I think. Like, I don't think you can actually win. I think something always happens that you are always going to die. And so I want to know if the board game actually has a way to win. Like, is it actually possible to win this game? The rules and everything have to be laid out in front of you, unlike a computer program where you don't have to know what the computer's doing in the background. For a board game, they can't hide this stuff. Like, it might make it really, really hard, but there has to be a way to win.
Well, according to our fabulous listener, Ishabel, she says she beat it.
Yeah,
but not
whatever. I don't
everybody
believe
in her party survived. So it could have been one of those Donner Party kind of things.
her. Yeah, I leave it to Ish. She's eating her people.
Hey, you got to do what you got to do to survive on the Oregon Trail.
Yes. But I'm looking forward to that board game coming out, and I think it's kind of funny that that game came out. It came out when it did. I didn't hear anything about it. I'm sure there's other people that knew about it. But it comes out this week, and Gen Con is this week. So
Yeah, I'm sad that I'm not going to Gen Con again. 5th year in a row, I'm not going.
yeah, that's yeah, and I got a lot of flack, and we will probably get even more flack from our buddies John and Bill from Prolific Games about the fact that we're not going. But I think I don't know. I think next year we just might have to go.
Yeah, I was actually supposed to go this year, and there was a communication error. One group of friends thought I was going with the other group of friends, and that group of friends thought I was going with the other, and so none of them asked me to go.
Oh,
So
that sucks.
I'm not going. So of course I've played the guilt card as much as I could, and I'm hoping that will result in some swag coming my way from Gen Con.
Yeah.
So if you can't use your friends, why have any? I suppose.
That should be the title of this episode. Using your friends to get stuff from Gen Con.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and I was okay with not going this year because I've had so much stuff going on this summer until I saw that Critical Role, the entire group was going to be at Gen Con doing a panel, and I'm like, son of a, now I wish I was there because I would love, like, I am loving that show, and it's just kind of a bummer that I'm not going to get to be there, and if nothing else, feel special because I'm in the same room as them.
If they actually just set up like a one-shot RPG game,
Yeah.
and people could pay like $100 to sit in and play the game with them.
Oh God, that would be sold out in an instant.
Oh yeah, they would be millionaires in one con. Seriously.
Yeah.
You and I play D&D together, but nobody role plays ROLE. We just are all ROLL players. We love to roll the dice. Acting out the roles, not so much.
Yeah, we've done a little bit better. But yeah, we're very stat oriented. We're very, we're very, well, let's make sure that the right people are doing the right thing, type situation. But we've done a little bit better this session or this campaign about just going, you know what? I want to do that. And so I'm going to do it. And I don't care whether my stats are good or not. I'm just going to do that. And I think that's part of this whole role playing idea. That helps you kind of get into the character a little bit more. So
it does, but none of us have created like a voice for our character.
Well, none of us are professional
like to their level.
Yeah, none of us are professional voice actors either. So
well, with a wonderful voice like mine, you can't say, yeah, okay, I get you.
Yeah, exactly. I got one voice. That's this one, and I'm not even sure this one sounds that good. So,
well, I recorded another video for work, so I spent my whole afternoon having to listen to my voice while I edited the video. You know what? I feel for our fans. I really do. They're the greatest people in the world for listening to this. So.
Yeah, it's a lot harder than it looks, I guess, or sounds.
Sounds better.
Yeah. So, yeah, and I would like to give you props on what you called what happened. I believe it was 2 weeks ago when we talked about Pokemon Go, and you said that I would be showing up here with still playing this game in a couple weeks, and I will put the caveat on it. I don't play the game nearly as much as my kids play the game, but
Mm-hmm.
Pokemon Go has changed what we do as a family. And so now, well, it was yesterday. Yeah, yesterday was Sunday. Yesterday we were sitting outside just with the neighbors. The kids were all playing, and uh, the kids ran out and wanted to play. Like, they got their phones and wanted to play Pokemon Go. And there was a group of them. There was 5 or 6 of them that walked down to the end of the street to the park where there's a gym, and walked down there and played for a little bit, and then came back playing Pokemon Go. And they were good with they had fun doing it. And then some of the neighbors, my wife took Reese, and Reese took my phone and went to another park that's a little bit farther away that has like 3 or 4 Pokestops on it and a gym, and went and was trying to catch Pokemon. Played so much that he actually ran my phone out of battery, and it just flat turned itself off.
When I was single, Pokestops meant something completely different.
Yeah, exactly. And then on to top that all off, they get home from the park. He charges up my phone, and then they charge up my phone, and then go to then all 4 of us go driving around while we're trying to catch Pokemon. We drive, around Gardner Lake. We are driving just all over the place trying to catch stuff. And so much so that when Reese hollers out of the back seat, "Oh, there's a Snorlax right here. I'm trying to catch it." Amber actually almost slams on the brakes to stop so that it wouldn't run away before he could try to catch it. So,
So do those things move pretty fast?
no, it's not necessarily that they move fast, but if you're driving in a car, you can leave the area that they're at so they won't show up on your screen. So the first time he found one of these Snorlax, I don't really know what this means. I'm just repeating what he told me. We were driving, and it showed up and then disappeared real quick. And so Amber actually went up and turned around, and we drove back through that area, and it didn't show back up. And so she turned around and went back through that area, and then it showed up again. So I think it's just kind of a random, I think it's more random number generator than anything else. But
well, probably. So as this created any of your trips that would normally take a certain amount of time and make it take like 5 times longer? Like Isabel was just saying.
We haven't gone the 5 times longer bit, but we did. I mean, last night we drove around for about 40 minutes with no end destination in mind. We were literally just driving around trying to catch Pokemon. But we have been driving somewhere, and like, oh, instead of going this direct route, we're going to kind of go the back way that's, more through the neighborhoods or past some more parks so that we can go by more Pokestops. But we haven't really, that is extending the time 5 or 10 minutes, maybe, in a 10-minute drive, it takes an extra 10 minutes to get there or something like that, as opposed to 5 hours on an hour-long trip.
Well, some people just have more resilience than others.
Yeah. I don't know that I could drive around for 5 hours. I don't like sitting in a car for 5 hours, but it's going to be interesting because next year our family vacation is to Florida. We're going to go to Destin, Florida. And if Pokemon Go is still a thing next summer, then I have a feeling my phone is going to run out of juice a lot, because he's going to be wanting to play. The kids are going to want to play Pokemon Go all the way to Florida, which could make a 15-hour drive not be so miserable.
And it may also make it not 15 hours.
It won't make it longer. I'm not sitting in the car longer than that.
So you say.
Yeah.
We take bets now. Anybody want to wager that Morph's Drive, if Pokemon is still a thing, takes more than 15 hours? We're gonna have to put like an over and under on this, and
yeah, how long it actually takes us to get there.
yeah.
Yeah, I have no idea. Well, once I get the route planned on how we're actually going to get down there and whether or not we split this up into 2 days, then we can set this over under. So look for that to come next summer when we plan this all out. But so yes, Pokemon Go is still going on. I still have it on my phone, but the kids have a lot of fun playing it. Ish says it's going to be plus 3 hours. I am not 18 hours ish. Come on, that's too long. That's too.
Since Reese runs the household, I'm going to go with Ish on this one and say it's going to take you longer.
Yeah, there's a good possibility. So what have you been doing this last week?
Oh man. So I did use a wrestling reference already. So my wife's favorite wrestler is a guy named Seth Rollins. I think I've mentioned this before on the podcast. Well, she finds out he's in a sci-fi movie, and so we set the DVR to record it, which it came on last night. And just because we wanted to see where he was in the movie, we ended up watching the whole damn thing. And that movie is Sharknado, The Fourth Awakens.
So Sharknado has now gone porn on it because they have come up with really cheesy parody type names.
You know what? If there would have been sex scenes and nudity, the movie would have been a hell of a lot better. Because, I'll admit, there were some girls in there. It's like, I wish they could get naked in this, because holy cow. But anyway, Sharknado 4 is as bad as you think it would be. It actually may be worse. But it's so bad that you can't turn away. Kind of like a train wreck, but more like the Thomas the Train wreck than an actual train wreck. It starts off in Vegas, where a sandstorm turns into a Sharknado because they created a casino in Vegas themed around Sharknado, and so it had live sharks in these tanks, and the sandstorm, destroys the casino, whips all the sharks up into the vortex, and wreaks havoc across the nation.
Oh, awesome.
That's right, I said nation. So the movie actually starts off in Kansas on Ian Ziering's farm, which is fascinating as hell since we both live in Kansas. We know what Kansas looks like. This did not look like Kansas. Behind his house was this mountainous region, not like Rocky Mountain, but bigger than anything we got here. So it's like, wow, they found the mountainous region of Kansas, which is very rare, hard to see, but apparently they found it. That had illustrious movie decisions such as his niece. Her name is Gemini. Like you would name a girl.
Right.
And everybody thought everybody in this family was dead, which is hilarious. And they all kind of meet up later, and they're all like, hey, you're still alive. And that was about it. But the best part about the whole movie is just catching the cameos. And it's like every C and D lister that you could think of, really. Like Vince Neil from Motley Crue, Wayne Newton, which I hate to admit I thought was already dead. Apparently he's not. His career died, but apparently he has not. Girls from Baywatch, like Gina Lee Nolan and Alexandra Paul. And it had apparently a couple of women from one of the Real Housewives shows. David David Hasselhoff and two young blonde girls with the last name of Hasselhoff. I'm going to assume they're his daughters, but you never know. One of them could be his wife. I don't know. Hollywood's a weird place.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with daughters.
Yeah, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt, but the cameos are fantastic. Gilbert Gottfried is a storm chaser.
Nice.
And, he uses his patented Gilbert Gottfried voice to tell you all the antics of the Sharknado. Like it goes through Texas and becomes an oil NATO. Yeah. Yep. And then it catches on fire and becomes a fire NATO. And then it hits a nuclear power plant in Ohio, and he gets to say the Sharknado has gone nuclear in the Gilbert Gottfried voice.
Oh, God.
It is cinematic gold, I tell you. So I don't recommend watching this movie, but if you're like stoned or really drunk, watch it. You'll get to hear such fantastic lines as, "You're not my mom. My mom's a shark, not a robot."
Oh, Lord. God, that just sounds so bad. And here's the thing. This is the fourth one, people. At what point do we just realize we need to cut our losses and stop making these terrible movies?
Well, people watched it. Twitter was alive with the sound of Sharknado. And I hate to say this, but if you didn't watch 1, 2, or 3, you're going to miss some of the jokes in 4. I've only seen 4. I haven't seen 1 through 3, so I missed some of the references, like why they thought Tara Reid was dead, why David Hasselhoff had to be rescued from the moon, and how they kept Gary Busey upright. I just these are questions that eat at you. So it's phenomenally bad. I watched the whole thing because of a wrestler who was on screen for about 30 seconds.
Well, you should let your wife know that she now needs to give you 2 hours of your life back.
Well, there's stuff she can give me that will make up for this.
Oh, and we will end that there because I do not.
But the wrestler did save Mount Everest, Mount Rushmore. It might as well have been Mount Everest. Why not? It crossed the ocean, went to, the holy cow, yeah. It's just that bad. But, it went through Texas and Kansas and Ohio and for some reason South Dakota and then to Ohio. Maybe I got lost in the complex storyline and there was more than one. I don't know. But I might have missed something during an extreme eye roll that I did. But, yeah, it's phenomenal. In a bad way.
Oh, geez. Well, my wife watched the first one and she's watched part of the second one, but that's she watched those because she was homesick, and I think she fell asleep part of the way through the second one, which is why she never finished it. But she keeps saying that she wants to finish the second one and watch the third one and now watch the fourth one, and she wants to watch all these. And I told her that's fine. Just don't expect me to sit there and watch them with her because I was already confused at the fact that the shark was in the tornado from the first one, I guess.
More than one.
That's what she tried to explain to me, was that no, the shark is in the tornado. I thought the shark was picked up by a tornado.
Yes.
No, apparently that is not the case. The shark is the tornado. So I still don't really understand it. I have yet to see any of these, and I don't ever plan to see any of these. So,
well, if this helps, they had to reverse Niagara Falls to finally end the Sharknado.
I
I'm guessing that didn't help.
I so they had to make the water go back up Niagara Falls.
Yeah, because it had gone nuclear, and the only way they could cool it off was with an extreme amount of water. Which, of course, when you think extreme amount of water, you think Niagara Falls.
Niagara Falls.
And yeah.
Okay. All right.
And it brought us such ripoffs as she doesn't look like much, but she's got it where it counts. Yep, that happens at Niagara Falls.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
What is this world coming to?
Well, you saw Idiocracy, right?
Yep.
The TV show everybody's addicted to in that movie is Ow My Balls.
Yeah.
Sharknado is Ow My Balls.
Ah, man.
That's the name of this episode. Sharknado equals Ow My Balls.
There you go. God. All right. Enough of Sharknado. I'm done with it. That's just, I don't get it.
Yeah, let's talk about something that's actually good.
All right, let's talk about something that's good.
And we actually watched the same thing pretty much at the same time, so we could actually talk about it, and both of us have seen it.
Yeah.
This is like a Geek Vice first.
It is. It really is. And there's been a lot of hits on Facebook for this, a lot of things on Twitter. People are talking about this show a lot. So if you haven't seen this Netflix original series, you need to go watch it. It is really good.
Yeah, if you were watching Sharknado instead of this,
you made a mistake.
You're in big trouble.
Go watch Stranger Things on Netflix. So it's only 8 episodes long, which is awesome. Because my wife didn't lose interest in it. It was able to each episode was able to keep you watching it, so much so that my wife was up past 11 o'clock one night because she wanted to watch another episode. My wife, for anyone who's met my wife, she goes to bed at 8 o'clock, 8:30. When the kids go to bed, she goes to bed too. So the fact that she was up past 11 o'clock watching a TV show, it means the TV show is really good. So this show, what's the time period of this thing? Like the
1983.
83?
Yes.
Yeah. So, and it definitely shows it. You can tell that I was going to say late 70s, early 80s, because D&D is kind of at the, well, honestly, D&D is a focal point of this show. Even if, somebody goes in and watches this thing, there's D&D references all over the place. The kids are playing D&D in this game, and they use D&D to explain what's actually happening. So, to me, I thought that was awesome.
It's totally awesome. And the main kid, we'll just call him the main kid, Mike. His real name is Finn Wolfhard. If that's not a D&D name, I don't know what is.
Yeah, absolutely.
So his parents must have been total D&D gamers in the day.
And I gotta say, okay, kid actors in a lot of. So okay, let's start off this thing. The whole premise of this is kind of a throwback to 80s type thrillers. So you've got things like you can see direct, not ripoffs. They're more like homages. They're like scenes that are similar to stuff like the first Aliens, Encounters of the Third Kind, Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Stand By Me.
Yeah, there, lots of those 80s thriller type movies are in this, E.T. and things like that. And honestly, to me, it felt very much like an original X-Files TV show. It felt like a an arc in X-Files. It was really well done. And the kids, so there's basically 5 kids that are involved in this, and really 4 of them are kind of uh, the main characters to this story. They are the drivers of this story, and those kids are amazing. Their acting is so incredible, that it's just thinking, like, they just completely immerse you into their world. It's like, I felt like I was there with those kids. Like, I wanted those kids to, like, succeed. It was great. They were amazing actors. I got to give those kids credit. And the
Oh
fact
yeah.
that any type of show where you put kids in charge, where the kids are kind of the leading roles, sometimes those things can fail if the kids aren't perfect. It puts a lot of pressure on those kids if they're on screen for that much time. These kids ate it up like it was nothing.
Oh yeah. The kids were phenomenal. They really were, and you loved those kids.
Yeah.
The premise of the TV show is one of them disappears, and they spend the whole season basically trying to get this kid back. And so you don't get much time with him. His name is Will, but the Mike character, you just root for this kid hard. I mean,
Yeah.
he is fantastic. I can't think. There's Lucas. Is
Yeah.
and the kid with no teeth. I can't remember his name.
That is Dustin.
Yes. You just, you just love those kids. You can't help it. There's a little discord. There's a little infighting, but eventually they've got to get back together, and it's, you just can't help it. You just want the whole thing to work for those kids.
It's great. It's great the way they make the connections between things, the way they explain what's happened and where Will has disappeared to. They're using the D&D world of the Veil of Shadows, which, if anyone's read any D&D books or played D&D, you know what the Veil of Shadows is. Like, it was really kind of cool the way the kids, not only on just the, like, how they explain things, but just the fact that these 3 kids want to go find their friend, and the whole reason there's fighting between them on whether or not they should go find them or just let the police look for them. And Mike is the game master, the dungeon master for this group, and he's like, but Will, like, right before he disappears, they're playing a session, and they're facing this bad, I can't even remember what the bad guy was called.
Demogorgon or something.
Yeah, Demogorgon. And Will has a chance to either cast protection and try to protect everybody, or shoot the thing with the fireball. And he wants to shoot him with the fireball to try to save everybody, and that's, like, to try to take this thing down and take the pressure on himself to win, or to save the group. And that was their deciding factor, because Will was willing to sacrifice himself in a D&D game. They're willing to sacrifice to go help and try to find Will. And I just thought that was great, the way every time there was a little conflict between the kids, they went back to D&D to solve their problem, and they went back to science to try to explain it. I would say that my second favorite, like, character in this was the high school teacher.
Yeah, mine too. I really liked that guy.
Like, I think his name was was it Mr. Clark? I don't know. He was like their science teacher, and he was the, like, that perfect science teacher, like, a trope that was just like had all kinds of knowledge about things that really didn't actually, just were out there, and that he was able to, explain things. They would ask him questions like, oh, how do you make a sensory deprivation tank? And he's like, why do you need to know that? It's like, well, you tell us to always question everything and explore our curiosity. Are you going to kill our curiosity? No, no, no. All right. And so he explains how to build a sensory deprivation tank. It's like this. It's it's just out there, and he's just like, okay, whatever. You're just kids being kids, and had no idea what they were doing. And I thought he played that great. I loved it. That was probably one of my favorite parts, is when he would show up to help move the plot along.
Absolutely.
Really well done.
Yeah, it was. And there's aspects of that movie or that TV show you're going to see, like we've said in other things. One of them that you didn't mention, Morph, that I thought of is it kind of reminded me a little bit of Let the Right One In. For anybody who's seen that vampire movie, it's about a little girl who's actually a vampire who is looking for someone to be her caretaker. And it kind of had a little bit of that feel to that TV show as well.
Okay.
With the girl called 11. So
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We're trying not to spoil this too much. The TV show is it was just one of those that we knocked out 8 episodes in no time flat. You just couldn't stop watching it. It was so good.
Yeah, I'm really good. And we've talked about the boys and the kids on how they did. They were great, but I'll also say that Winona Ryder plays Joyce Byers, who's Will's mom, and Will is the kid who disappears in this show. She was incredible, absolutely phenomenal. And then David Harbour played Jim Hopper, the sheriff of this small town in Hawkins, named Hawkins, and he was awesome as well. Like, just the way the two of them interacted with each other, the way they interacted with the kids, like it was great. It really was great.
It was, and it was written by this writing team called the Duffer Brothers. I hadn't heard of them. I don't know of anything they've done in the past.
They have not done much.
I'm assuming they've played a lot of D&D and watched a lot of 80s movies. But what they've created was fantastic. I mean, the first weekend isn't even over, and they already were guaranteed a second season. It was just that popular immediately.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're going to do for the second season. They did leave some things open for that storyline.
Well,
but they could also leave that storyline and go on to something else. And
that's what I would like to see. I would like to see them take this Stranger Things and go in a completely different area. Just this one was good. It went from a point, it ended at a point. Like, I don't know that I really want to see them continue this one on. I felt like it was. I almost would like to see these 8 episodes, another 8 episodes with another story and another Stranger Things story. It doesn't have to be about the same characters.
Though I'd hate to abandon those kids.
Yeah, that's
I'd like
true.
to see them in something else.
That is true. So the Duffer Brothers, they do not have a whole lot under their writing repertoire, or not repertoire. I don't know. Bibliography, filmography, whatever. So they've done a movie called Hidden. They've done a movie called We All Fall Down in 2005. Hidden was in 2015. But they've written some episodes. If anyone has seen the show Wayward Pines, the TV series, they've written 4 episodes of that. So, I mean, I honestly haven't seen anything. This is the first thing I've seen of theirs, but this kind of makes me want to go and check out some of the other stuff they've done.
Yeah,
'Cause they did an incredible job.
they did. They really did. It's and I can't say too much about it. I can't say enough about it, really. But it has a Stephen King feel to it, even though I don't think he was associated with it.
No.
It doesn't take place in Maine, so you can pretty much guarantee that it's not Stephen King. But it had that feel. I felt like they captured the era pretty well. Though I think the Barb girl probably looked the most like she was from 1983 than anybody else.
Yes. Yeah, she did.
You
That
know,
she did.
I was a teenager in 1983. I kind of remember that, and she was the one that to me looked like the girls in my high school looked like back in 1983.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was they hit it pretty close. Even the music,
Oh, it was perfect for it.
it felt totally like it was from the 80s.
Yeah.
The fonts they used in the opening credits, you know, the way the Stranger Things came up on the screen, that totally reeked of the 80s. Plus, is that the font that D&D uses on their books? I think it might be.
I think it might be when it comes up on the screen. Yeah, I think it might be.
Yeah. So they put the time in to make sure they got things just right for the era that they're in.
Yeah.
There was a couple times they played a song, and I was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure that was after 1983. But the rest of it was spot on. So I'm not going to give them that because they didn't guarantee that all the music they played was from 1983. They said, hey, everything's from 1983. So I'll give them that. But everything else, the cars, the music, the clothes.
Yeah.
The mom of I guess it was Mike's mom. You know, she totally had the feathered hair from the 80s.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, and his dad too.
Oh yeah,
Like
he had 80s eyeglasses. Yeah.
Oh yeah, completely oblivious to everything. Like that was probably the one thing that was comical that I noticed was like that like some of the parents, there weren't very many parental figures for these kids, and the few parental figures that were there, you could tell were completely oblivious to everything that their kids were doing. And I don't know, like honestly, that's probably a product of the times, but it's also a little bit of they can't be involved in everything if we're going to have these kids actually be the leading parts of this show. But it like I thought it was great. I loved how it was done.
Yeah. Well, I think the late 70s, early 80s was like the beginning of the latchkey kids.
Yeah.
And I think they captured that well. You know, the excess of the 80s caused it so both parents had to work. So the kids were kind of on their own for a lot.
Right.
After school.
That makes sense.
And I think they captured that really well.
Yeah.
Because those kids were unsupervised all the freaking time.
That is true. And the fact that they could just go off wherever, you know, whenever they wanted, just, yeah, here, we're just going here. No, like, hey, mom, we're going to do this. Nope. They just left out the walkout basement and just left.
And it could be dark out, and they were out on their bikes with flashlights, and the parents didn't think twice of it.
Yeah.
Because that's the way it was when I was a kid. We were out and about at night riding our bikes, you know, flashing flashlights at each other. Yeah. My parents didn't worry.
So the thing that I thought of while watching this show was this idea that does Netflix have an unfair advantage to other like TV show outlets, mainly your cable outlets, even your national, channels or your cable channels, because other than HBO. But even then HBO, I don't know that I think they still have to follow some of the FCC guidelines for their shows, even though they're a paid, they're a premium channel. So, and what I was talking about, this show, because it was in the 80s, there was tons of people smoking. And the sheriff in this one, the mom in this one, all chain smokers. I mean, just smoking cigarettes left and right. And I know that nowadays, with the way the rules are written on what you can show, that was a big problem with Constantine. They had to have creative ways. In the comic books, Constantine is a chain smoker. He smokes all the time. They had to change how they showed him with a cigarette and couldn't actually show him smoking. This one, I mean, the sheriff, if you saw him without a cigarette in his hand or in his mouth, you could probably count those number of times on one hand. You could probably count the number of minutes on one hand. So, does Netflix, and the other thing is, these kids talked like I remember kids talking. There was foul language when they were talking amongst themselves. There was calling people names. There was bullying and picking on people. There was, kids in violent situations. I mean, at one point there was a bully holding a knife to another kid's throat, and it's like that kind of stuff can't really be shown on your regular television channels.
Yeah, this is true. Growing up in that era, I saw that, and it didn't hit me till you mentioned it today. It's like, yeah, a lot of that stuff could not be shown on other avenues, especially cable TV. And so I thought it was great. I also thought it was great that they didn't completely take advantage of being on Netflix, and there was no nudity, there was no sex scenes. It was basically family friendly.
Yeah.
Except for it's a very intense story.
Right.
And I'm sure that would scare kids.
Yeah, absolutely. You want to be careful with what kids are watching this, but for the most part, it's not terrible in the sense of being able to watch it. I'm not going to let my kids watch it yet, but it's definitely something as they get a little bit older, they could watch this. But it was just something that I wonder. So we've now seen Netflix hit home runs with things like Daredevil, Jessica Jones, now Stranger Things, even
Orange is the New Black.
Yeah, which I haven't seen that yet. It's on my list of things to watch. House of Cards. Like, all of these shows that we've seen on Netflix that have been Netflix original series, those shows couldn't be shown on another channel the way they were.
Yeah, this is true.
So, it makes me wonder, like, at what point is Netflix going to have to start following the regulations that are out there for these other channels, or are they always going to have this advantage that they're a paid service and they are not required to follow the broadcast guidelines?
Which I hope is the case. I hope they never have to. And the thing about it is, a little bit of soapbox here, but it's real life.
Yeah.
People smoke, people drink, people curse. It's the way life is. Why you can't show that on TV blows my mind.
Well, and I almost wonder, this happened with comic books too, and this is a much bigger, broader topic that we don't have time to dive into, but there was the Comic Code Authority that basically said you can't show these things in comics. You can't have the certain stuff shown in comics. You can't, your art can't have depicted these things. You can't have people talk like this. And so they said all this, and then all the comic books had to follow it because no one would buy their comics if they didn't follow this Comic Code Authority. And so they started following them, and then companies started not following them and trying to push those limits, and realized, oh, hey, people out here do like this stuff. And so the Comic Code Authority just kind of went away because the comic industry didn't need them. You know, it was their way of, the code authority was their way of policing themselves. Well, the FCC is a government entity that is dictating what you can show on TV and things like that. So I'm wondering if maybe we're starting to see the FCC, or maybe we're at the very beginning of the FCC losing their power and becoming not necessary, because if we get rid of cable altogether and go to this a la carte model, everything could technically be a premium, could be a paid service like Netflix, and then maybe other channels could get away from this stuff, and you can start seeing more, less of the uh clean paintbrush type approach to some of your sitcoms or some of your TV shows.
Yeah, I think you're right there. I think we have reached the point where kids see more now than they ever have. There's a rating system for movies and TV shows for a reason. It's to let parents know it's up to you, but this is kind of out there or risque, or we don't recommend it for anybody below 13. That puts the onus back on the parents.
Right.
It's rated R. It's up to you whether you let your 8-year-old watch it.
Right.
And let's treat it like, I don't know, for lack of a better analogy, a free market. If you make things too dirty, too risque, you're probably going to lose viewership. You will have a certain market, a certain group of individuals that will watch it, but you're probably not going to get the big demographic that you want, especially with a show like Stranger Things. They did it right. It's a clean movie.
Yeah.
But it's real.
Mm-hmm.
And that kept it from losing an audience, which is fantastic. If they could have went all Game of Thrones or Spartacus for that matter, where it's, every 20 minutes somebody's naked and there's a sex scene going on and blah, blah, blah. They could have done that, but they chose not to. And I think because of that, more people watched this show.
Yeah.
And so you take that model and you think, well, let them show what they want, because people are going to police it themselves. Yeah, maybe a kid will get on Netflix when mom and dad's not home and watch something like that. But I think there's parental controls that you can set up, some passwords and things like that to totally keep that from happening. But it's the day of the internet. Kids are going to find what they're going to find.
Well, and on that note with Netflix, I mean, that's kind of the thing that, you made the comment about the rating system for movies and even TV shows have rating systems. Netflix doesn't. Netflix original series are completely unrated. There's nothing on there that tells you what age this is appropriate for. To me, I'm fine with that, because I'm not going to let my kids watch something that I haven't already at least checked out to see if they're okay to, it's okay for them to watch. Because there's some things that I don't really want to explain to them. But on that same side, I'd say, you said about parental controls on Netflix. There's a kid's profile that you can set up, and the kids can go to that. And I think you could probably password protect profiles that requires a password to get into. I haven't gotten that far. But in the same sense, the kid's profile is so much harder to use on Netflix than the normal profile. So we have a family profile set up on here that the kids can go to. Stranger Things, for a while, was the title, was the spotlight thing. So when they turned on Netflix, Stranger Things was the first thing they saw. I am sure there were a lot of kids that clicked play on Stranger Things, not knowing what it was, whether their parents were in the room or not. And that just kind of goes to pay attention to what your kids are watching.
Yeah.
But I just think it's kind of neat. I would love to see us get back to a time where parents policed their own, that not that you don't need the rating system, because I think having the rating system is beneficial, but on the same side, I would like to be able to see more shows like this that are more real for me to watch, and then have shows that my kids can watch that are different. They don't have to be the same. Like, you can have some shows that work that both parents and kids can sit and watch. I like to see a little bit more of this, of some of these, like Daredevil and Jessica Jones and the new Luke Cage that's coming out, and Stranger Things is in that list too, of things that I can just watch myself, because I don't want my kids to watch this yet, and I can still enjoy it. So I love what they've done with Stranger Things. I think everyone should go see it. Go watch Stranger Things on Netflix.
Agreed. I think we probably beat that one to death, but the takeaway is fantastic TV show. Give it a watch.
Yes, absolutely. And we've already gone over our little time, so we'll go ahead and wrap it up here. Follow us on Let's try that again. Follow us at geekvice.blogspot.com. You can also follow us on YouTube. Go to tiny.cc/geekvice. You can search for us on Facebook. Facebook.com/geekvice. You can also follow us on Twitter. That man over there at Kip Killigan. You can follow me at Geekvice. And of course, you can always email us at geekvice@gmail.com. And before Mr. Bogina yells out, while he's listening to this on his headphones, he starts yelling at his iPod, telling us that we have hit 20 subscribers on YouTube. He is right. We are at 20 subscribers, and I will be drawing from random tonight and reaching out to one of those lucky subscribers to get a free game on Steam, or it'll either be on Steam or Uplay on Ubisoft, because I have a lot of Ubisoft games. So these are computer games. I do not believe you can redeem these for PlayStation things. So I'll reach out to somebody and make sure they can actually use them before I send them their way. So, but we will be drawing one from random tonight, and we will reach out to them, and next week we will let you know what they got and who it was. So there you go, Bogina.
Yeah, take that.
Yeah, it's there. So there. So, all right. Thanks, everybody, for listening, and we will see you next week.
Laters.